In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.
Yes, we are. Schengen News Echoes, and it's a beautiful evening here in Milan, Italy. You're welcome, viewers. You're welcome to our Monday edition of the news updates, and we call this one Between the Lines. Between the Lines is on 10th of June, 2024. My name is Godwin Iwe-Junwa, and with me are my colleagues, coordinators from different parts of the world. Right there in Lagos, Nigeria, is our man, Ogbeni Olayinka Raji. You're welcome to Between the Lines.
Good evening, global viewers. Welcome to Between the Lines on Monday.
Yes.
Your favorite program.
Your favorite program. We hope no grind shut down, no light electricity shut down, Raji. Your background looks like they're trying something there. Are they?
Currently, I don't have power.
Oh.
I'm using yes. It's not from the strike, but I just think maybe because I'm in Bandef or whatever, so I don't have power now.
So this band A, band B thing is still working. Okay, joining us from a corner where electricity runs 24/7, and Nigeria needs to come and learn how to do this. Is our diva F.N.A. Kano. F.N.A, you're welcome. Between the Lines.
Hello, it's lovely to be here. Welcome to all the viewers around the world. Hello, Massive Mac. Hello, Saraji. Good to see you.
Good evening, Lady Phil.
Well, you're welcome. I just made a small, I threw a small jab at Raji. I said you're from the side where the electricity stays.
It's 24/7.
So you need to teach us what they do there, Fiona. You need to teach Nigerians. But one person that also wants to teach Nigerians how to have 24 hours electricity supply is our man from Toronto, Canada, George Chukwu. Sir George Chukwu, you're welcome to Between the Lines.
Well, thank you, Massive Mark. Thank you, Fiona, and our man Raji from Nigeria. Viewers from around the world, we want to welcome you to our show today. It's going to be a fantastic one.
It's going to be a fantastic one. With George around, with Fiona around, Raji around the block. Listen, viewers, you're in for a beautiful night, beautiful evening. So, guys, let's do with the that's what we call the breaking news. There are some news that are coming in before we stepped into the studio. One of it is the Malawian vice president, and 9 others disappeared after taking a flight from a particular town to another one this morning, and now they have gone off the radar. Raji, I know you follow African updates.
Yes.
We don't know what's happening there. The Malawi vice president flight is off the radar. That's his picture there, viewers. Those of you that don't know him, and it's a sad one. So, well, it hasn't been confirmed. We don't know what has happened really, but the vice president Saulus Chilima, his plane has gone off the radar after taking off this morning. The government press have revealed. So that's one of the breaking news we're seeing now. Another one is we hope our man will join us to let us know there's a strong allegation on the Kremlin. Kremlin forces has forced thousands of migrants, foreign students, to fight alongside Russian troops in its war against Ukraine. Moscow has been enlisting convicts, it says, from prison and migrants, foreign students to join, and this is for visa, to renew their visas, to renew their permit of stay. So this is what we're hearing from Kremlin, and Bloomberg is breaking up that news. A Japan website also is saying the same thing. So I don't think these companies, these media homes will be giving us fake news. So, but let's wait also when our man joins. Also on the news, a breaking news says EU, European Union, earned 3.4 million euros from rejected visa application from Nigerians. Nigerians alone. Nigerian visa applicants made EU gain 3.4 million euros. So, guys, we're going to talk about this because we're just putting our money into the wrong pocket. It's terrible. Yes, we're putting our money into the wrong hands. They don't need this our money. They have a lot with them. Okay, so these are the breaking news. I don't know if any one of you want to say anything. George, Malawi.
So I mean, of course, our prayers go out to, the people of Malawi. I understand that the vice president was on board with his wife as well. So that will indeed be even, a bigger tragedy for their family if they're losing their matriarch and patriarch at the same time. We don't know what's happened, but I mean, in cases like this, when something has gone off the radar for this amount of time, because we're talking over 12 hours now, obviously this is something of serious concern. So, we hope, we wish everybody well. We wish the people of Malawi well, and we hope, we just look forward to hearing some sort of positive news, in the circumstances. So.
George, let's hear you. George, are you with us?
Yes, I am with you. Yeah, well, our condolences are going out anyway, but we don't know whether, it's not reported that it's a tragedy. They just miss him. So, but, we're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best. That's what I can say right now.
Okay. So what do you guys have on EU making money from us, from our Africans?
I have something to say about that.
Okay, say something.
So do I. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So if we make the continent of Africa the great place that it should be, all this will be a thing of the past. So until that happens, we can expect that we're still going to be spending lots of money to go to places where there is electricity, there is security. That's what's going to be happening. So until that changes, what can we really expect? That's what's going to be happening. I mean, I think what would be helpful, though, because obviously it's a lot of money, from an African viewpoint, from a Nigerian viewpoint, what might be helpful is for there to be a kind of triage system so that if people are going to apply for something and their visa is very unlikely to get any traction, for them to know kind of before these massive investments that are going to, but it doesn't make any meaning to the countries that are offering visas. So for them, it suits them how it's working at the moment. So it's just what it is. So,
it's just what it is. Raji, is it what it is?
Yeah, right. For a long time, the British consulate here has been running its affairs with monies derived from especially rejected visa applications. But my take on this will be that, look, if I apply to your country for a visa and you refuse me, I don't think you should charge me the full value of that visa application fee. I think you should charge me for whatever it is, maybe not more than 50% of the fee. But if you give me a full service, then you can charge me full service. It's almost like 418 3/4, because it's not exactly 419, because I came to you for a service, you didn't give me that service, and you are still charging me for that service. I think there should be some midpoint where
Unfortunately, there is no middle ground here. The fee that they are being paid is an administrative fee, which involves the people that will process it, that will determine whether you are qualified to travel or not. So that fee cannot be reduced simply because of denial. The point about this whole entire thing is this: to travel to Europe seems even better than easier than to travel to other African countries. If it was like going to any other African country, the money would have stayed within the continent. But the fact is for economic reasons, a lot of people want to jackpot. And that's exactly what it is. And it will continue on things stabilize or gets better in Nigeria. There's no question.
Can I just speak to that? Actually, the cost of the Nigerian visa from the United Kingdom though is over £350. So to be fair, so I mean that that's if we're going to talk about parity and equity, then what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Now, my own take is this, guys. I might sound crazy, but hear me. Now, what about giving back this money when this person doesn't get the visa? I mean, these countries still come back to Africa, to Nigeria, and do the lottery. These countries will tell you they need immigrants. Canada is saying they need to pump up their numbers. Now, somebody that is stuck in that problem, in that Nigeria, in that Africa, and you've gone through this person, you've seen him, you probably checked him, if maybe one or two files or documents didn't really go well, he failed his interview, but somehow he qualifies because he's probably a technical person, he has a skill and all that. Why not just let him go or return back his money? I mean, this money, they don't need this money. 3 million euros will just go to their own frivolous expenses because that's how I see it, I don't know, sounds crazy, but it's between the lines. Between the lines, we could sound crazy too.
Massive mark. Yes. On a good day, when all things are equal, that would be where they can apply what you're saying. But as it is right now, I don't think so. Because anywhere they can milk us, they will milk us. Because we're very milkable. That's the problem.
Can I just say though that I'm just gonna, because I'm always the person that's always I'm a bit of an anarchist, but I have to say that so my mom worked at the British Council office in Lagos, and and to be quite honest, what they go through there, I mean, what they used to go through, I can't speak for today, but what they used to, I think that there has to be a fee. I don't think it's something that I think it deserves to have a fee. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's really, so yeah. So
okay, let's leave it. Our viewers, you're in between the lines, and what we were just discussing is a news that came up that EU, European Union, all of them together gives what they call the Schengen visa, and they've made so far $3.4 million euros from applicants in Nigeria, just Nigeria, and that's how it is. Anyway, EU Schengen, it's crazy, but somebody is also saying that the report also indicates that this is not fair, George. You know why? Because when you look at the proportion, there are more chances for people from other parts of Asia or some other parts of the world that is not Africa. There are chances of them getting that visa than the Nigerians and Ghanaians and Senegalese and Africans. George, do you understand? So,
but it's true. When you think about it, the chances of somebody, from those other countries that you mentioned, to come and obey the rules and the law and go back is very high. The chances of most African countries, when they come, they just want to, raise up their hands and want to stay. So that's part of the thing, the reason why many of these people are being rejected, because majority of them, when they come, it happened here in Canada, and it caused a lot of problem for the government, whereby students and even visitors, masses were given, visas, and they arrived, and all of them, just raised up their hand. And once they do that, the government is mandated by law to allow them to go through the process. And it was costing a lot of money. As a result of that, 2 individuals died in Ontario. 2 Nigerians died. Number one was there, one of them, both of them died as a result of weather conditions, because when the influx came, it was bigger than what the government was anticipating, because the visa was given to students and to visitors. So there was no accommodation for them. So most of them built tents outside, and when the temperature dropped, 2 people died. So
I
yes,
had that news. It was real sad.
yes, it was very, very sad. So and that's part of the reason, and this is the second time, Canada is being hit by influx of people from Nigeria, and it's they are frowning at it right now, and as a result of that, many of them might be heading to Europe, and when they go there, they will be rejected because possibly the quota is gone, or maybe they don't want much of Africans that can stay instead of obeying the law and going back when their visas expire.
George, I'm on you on this. But let's welcome Yema Benson. Yema Benson from Turkey. You're welcome to Between the Lines.
Thank you so much, and welcome viewers to In Between the Lines.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Yema.
I'm holding you on something. You started a news that is spreading, and Raji might give us some response since we don't have Godwin here yet. But before then, George, there's still this story. Canada is a big country, very big, vast landscape and everything. And I know your numbers are small. So why not Canada just keep? They can help some of these African countries. They can help.
They are, but you have to understand that many of these countries, when they come, they become a burden to the government. Prior to the pandemic, in 2018, 2017, there were thousands that got visas to US, and they crossed over. When they came, they were such a burden that the government had to find like so many hotels to house them, feed them while they're going through that process. And then the second influx came post-pandemic. So, and most of the time they're coming to Ontario, and it's really heavy on the government. So the region will now put pressure on the government to release funds in order to house these people. So that's what it is. So, every country, they will take statistical data of the people that are dying, the people that are, babies that are going to be born, and then also to, take the statistical data of the people that are coming and leaving, so that they can maintain an equilibrium in what they call people to expect in order to for population increase. They don't want it to become a problem to the nation because it can mess them up. Those ones that happen here brought a bad name to the government. They brought a bad name to the government because there were so many people on the streets with their luggages. And what happened was the government were not ready because they were not prepared. So while they were in process trying to house them, people were lamenting, people were sleeping on the streets, and until eventually a lot of churches opened their doors and accommodated these people. So that's the reason why, many of these visas are being rejected.
George, you just gave us consular service. How much do we pay for this consular service?
Check on the mail. Check on the mail.
Yeah, consular service there. Our diva is gone. Yema, are you still with us? Yes, Yema. The story is Kremlin is forcing thousands of migrants and foreign students, and I know it concerns you because you're a foreign student. But you're not in Russia, but you had concern on that update. Tell us, what did you hear? What did you hear? What was it that you heard?
Okay, I just scrolled, I think, through my Instagram, and I saw that Africans are being sent to the forefront to fight for Russia. No, we're trying to embrace Russia, though we don't want Macron and their friends, France, whatever rules in Africa. So we Russia coming in, and then we're hearing that news. It's heartbreaking. I just hope it's a lie, though.
Well, it's not a lie. We would have wished our man was here. It's not a lie because Bloomberg is an international network, and they know what it takes if they are being held liable or putting out fake news. Also, the Japanese national network is taking the news too. So these are two credible networks I rely on. I go for my updates too. And if they are saying this, then it's not a lie. Raji, what do you want to tell us? Or you want to say something?
I just okay. Oh yeah, my God.
Is it the way they place, like the way they made the statement, like they're forcing Africans to the war front? Is it something they're doing voluntarily, or because news they can want to get traffic, and then they just put it in that way.
Sensationalism. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yes, like I said, Raj, go ahead.
my view is this. What is the population of Africans in Russia that will make a difference to the army of Russia? And I don't think Russia is in such dire traits that they'll be conscripting Africans to join them. So, and then we should be very, very careful the news we listen to and the things we believe. I can hardly believe any news. In fact, a lot of the time I have to go with my spirit. That can this be true? Because when I look at it now, how many Africans are in Russia that will require Russians to force them to join a fight in which they have? I don't think it's very true.
Yes, thousands.
Yes, I know. The
Thousands.
Russian army,
Thousands are staying. Thousands. And listen to this. Listen to this. I'm not going to authenticate the news, but I will say more likely it is true, because there was a time when they were sending prisoners out there, and masses of them were dying, and they showed pictures, and it was all over the news, and it was not a lie. So if that is the case, yes, it could be true. I'm not authenticating it. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed until I hear from other mainstream media news. Then we can do that. But as it is right now, the point about that I'm trying to make to you is, even if it is true, it is difficult for you to really say yes or no, because remember, whatever happens in Russia is almost like what happens in Vegas. If you stay there, you don't hear about it. That's right.
Yeah, I can assure you, Sir George, that you will have your fingers crossed for a long time.
Now, George,
have your fingers crossed for a very long time.
We are okay. Go ahead, Fiona.
I have a view on this. So, okay, controversial again. So, I think that if a person has decided they want to be part of a community, then and the community is doing thing A, for example, I think that the expectation that people that are part of the community form part of their efforts is not totally unexpected or surprising. So if they're being forced, okay, then I take issue with that. But if they are being coerced, or they are being bribed, or they're being we're going to encouraged to do that, and they're doing it. I mean, this all goes back to this whole thing of when the country that you come from is not fit for purpose. These are the sort of things that people will do to you. So for me, I just feel that, that's where they are. And if your homeland, as you refer to it, is in war, and you're a full-grown, able-bodied person, and you're able to be part of their efforts, then then that's what you should be. That you should be part of their efforts.
Fiona, the clause to it, the issue there now is they are doing this for these people to renew their papers, their permit of stay, their
so it's coercion. Yeah, that's what we said. So, I said if you're being coerced or bribed, or that's what I just said. I precede what I said with exactly the comment you just made, that if this is because they have their own country, if you have a visa, it can be revoked, yes. So if you want to renew a visa, and I'm saying, well, to renew and for your family to stay here, you have to do this, then I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that I understand the thinking. It's not right, but then they don't have to stay there.
So that means every other country can now use their illegal immigrants to do some hazardous.
I mean, I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying, I don't know.
All right, George.
I don't think the situation has come to shove for the Russians to be doing that. I do not think so.
Okay,
and I do not think that
like I said, we've been on the news line for some time now, and we know networks that we can hang on with. Bloomberg is not a small network. Believe me, it's even more heavier than CNN and BBC, because it has outreach all over the world. And Bloomberg cannot come into this story if it has not
without it being, they have verified it and they have authenticated it, and before they put it out there.
Russia could even take
do
them
that.
to court.
Maybe you could say
Russia could take them to court for putting out a false news.
Russia will not. Maybe you should say that it is not likely.
Sorry, I just think, you know, the difference between coercion, force, bribe, you know,
encourage.
I think encouragement. I think there needs to really be a difference. So I'm not saying that it is right to say, well, for me to give you your visa, then you have to do this for me. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that if that is that's the space that they're in, though. I mean, you know, and the options are, because there are options. The options are they can go to their country of origin. It actually, they can do that. It's an option.
Okay, very good. We have Godwin, eBay, Moscow, Russia in the program. Godwin, you're welcome to Between the Lines. Are you with us?
Thank you for having me. Yes, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
We would have loved if your screen was on the other side, but it's okay. If you're probably in the office and you need to, it's okay. So, yes, you came right on time. Don't worry, Godwin. It's okay. You came right on time.
Okay.
We were almost going to strangle Raji because he's the one that speaks on your behalf. Raji didn't have words to say. Raji didn't have anything to say. We're just saying, I don't know. Now you are on ground. Let's hear what's happening. Now the story is the Kremlin is forcing thousands of migrants and foreign students to fight alongside Russian troops in the war against Ukraine, and this network also saying that some of these people are being made to do this so that they can have their papers and they are not deported. So let's hear you. What's the story?
Well, first of all, you understand that that article is self-contradictory. For example, it says people are going first, but then it goes further to say that they are forced.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now it's better. Mm-hmm.
Okay, they say people are first, but in the same article it says why they are first. They are first is they say in order to get the document for residency. So if someone goes to do something because of something, is the person still first? Then it means that it is business. The person is motivated to do it for something. So the article is self-contradictory.
Your mouth is close to your mic.
Echo.
Yeah, so it's echoing. We know you're eager to give the rest.
Okay, I'm taking this off. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
is it better?
Clearer.
Okay, I'm saying that it's self-contradictory because the article says they are doing it for something. Now, if you're doing something for something, then it means you're not forced. It means you're motivated. There's a business or whatever motivation that makes you do it. So the article itself is self-contradictory. If you do something to gain something, then you are making a business decision. That's the first thing. Secondly, we work with Nigerians. As the chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Organization, I work with so many Nigerians, and I know firsthand information that many Nigerians serve voluntarily at the front, voluntarily, because they have families here. They love Russia and want to help Russia in this fight that is considered of strategic and how do I put it? It's not just strategic, but it's seen as a security threat to Russians who are living in Russia and their families. Many of them want to do that for many reasons. Number one is pure economy. Unlike the Ukrainians who die for a morsel of bread, the volunteers in Russia are paid very well, especially the Wagner. You heard about them; they are paid very well. Also, some may want to do it for reasons of gaining residence or through their loyalty to the motherland or for expedited documentation. That is also another possible reason. The third possible reason is just maybe they just want to defend the motherland. And I've sat with so many people who say, oh, I want to go there. And then I tell them, look, this decision is not a decision I can make for you. Patriotism is something you have or you don't have. If you want to do something, you have to make that decision, but it has consequences and it has benefit. You have to measure the cost benefit and decide for yourself. So once again, that news is fake, is false. And also, last but not the least, the embassy. I was at the embassy today. There's no such information in the embassy. The embassy has never released such a statement. Not only Nigerian embassy, all African countries, no single one has released any such information. How did a Bloomberg get information that embassies in Moscow, in Russia, all African embassies do not have? How? And me who working with Nigerians. In fact, how did I get to the news today? I got to the news because our members were tagging me. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? What is going on? Have you seen this? They don't know. They are waiting to hear from me. And I'm in the embassy. The embassy has not heard of it. I have not heard of it. Nobody has heard of it. It is fake news. And obviously, Bloomberg is in America, so it has its motivation.
It's not only Bloomberg. My friend.
It's not only Bloomberg.
Yeah, but it's the primary source. It's the primary source. A lot of people are quoting Bloomberg, right?
But the Japanese government website, Japan, and you know Japan is an ally of Russia. Japan.
No. Japan is not an ally of Russia. Japan is an ally of NATO. It's a NATO member and an ally of US.
The point is,
in fact, they want Kuril Island, which is part of Russia, and Russia has told them the results of the Second World War is not to be revised.
Let's go on the small break. Let's take some cool water. I know you got your tensed up now. This issue could be very, very. It could put you on nervous scale. So let's go on a small break. We'll be back. Nema. We'll be back with you.
Elevate your new week. Fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update, Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis, and the most attention-grabbing lines, Deciphering World Event.
Yes, you're welcome, viewers. Thank you for staying tuned with us. Between the Lines, today, Monday, the 10th of June, 2024. And it's quite interesting getting these updates. Guys, Godwin left us. Okay. Let's go on with some other news. We know we don't want to be too there, we have to just be neutral. We are not there when these things happen. We only also source out news and keep our audience updated too with world occurrence. So there's another one happening now. We're putting our satellite in Nigeria. Nigeria government says they are going to be paying the average worker 62,000 naira. Fiona, you're laughing,
now.
right? 62,000 naira. Or you want Raji to give us an update first?
I can speak. Just in brief, really. I think what I said last week is what I'm still saying this week and what I'll continue so to do. The fact of the matter is this: you cannot just pick an arbitrary figure and say this is going to be the minimum wage or this is going to be the living wage. It takes a lot of permutation, a lot of titration, a lot of figure work to actually arrive at something conclusive. Now, what the living wage or the minimum wage should be for people to live above the breadline is probably something that is 100% not attainable. So I think we've concluded that. I know that I mentioned the figure of about 100,000 last week, and at the moment we're talking at 62,000. I mean, it's not great, but that's more than 100% from the 30,000 that we were at. But to be honest, if they keep on pushing for this 120, 250,000. I think 250,000 is what Labour is asking for at the moment. I think I had the Deputy Onyeka mention this 250,000, that from tomorrow, if this doesn't happen, they're going to go back to all this work to rule, etc. I don't see how governments and businesses are going to be able to afford to pay this amount. So this is going to lead to retrenchment, unemployment, people out of work. So it's going to become another vicious cycle. So I think that the thing is that we're going to have to get really practical. I mean, it's not a good situation. Things are exorbitantly expensive in Nigeria. I understand that. But I just don't think that kind of figure, $250,000 naira, I just don't think it's a workable figure for everybody, even as an employer of labor in Nigeria. If I was going to be paying that amount to all my staff, it would be quite difficult.
It would be quite difficult. Raji, let's hear. Let's hear from Raji. Raji is on ground. Raji is. Do you think the government has done fairly well? Do you go with the 62,000? I was looking at the 120.
Yeah. So now my stance has always been this.
Oh dear. I think we have. He has electricity issues there. George, are you with us? I hope
Yes,
not.
I am with you. I'm with
Sorry,
you.
George. Sorry.
Okay. The point is this: when we are setting that foundational ground of how much is equitable, how much is fair, how much is just, we have to understand that the cost of living from one area to another is different in the states. That's number one. Number two, when we set this standard, for instance, what is happening in Edo State, Godwin Obaseki just said that he wanted his own to be 70, and they were hailing him. And now, but if you go to Cross River, and this is the governor that we're expecting here in Canada very soon, it is 40. And each one of them are going to they're telling you based on our internal revenue that we receive and then what we're getting from the government. If we take it higher than this amount, we might not be able to do it. Now, remember, one of the major problems we are having in Nigeria today is that most of these positions are ghost positions. People are not really there, but salaries are being paid. So there's going to be a forensic, examination about some of these states that are still having ghost workers, whereby who brings your name in, and they're paying you, and you give them a cut of what they pay you. So that's number two. Number three, I honestly believe that the bottom line ought to be 75,000. The upper highs ought to be 90,000. Based on the economy of Nigeria, inflation, food insecurity, everything combined together. Because what you don't want to do is what Fiona was just saying. There is a certain amount that will be said. People will have to let them go. They will shrink their employment, they'll shrink their employees and make sure it's affordable. So that's what it is. So we have to be very, very careful. I think that labor is being a little bit unreasonable, but I think also that they are intentionally doing it because they know that that amount they're talking about is unattainable. Because if they have done their studies, they will know that it is impossible for the government at this time to pay that kind of money, especially within the states.
Yes.
Yema, somehow you're connected to these administrative things, work and all that. How do you feel people be getting this kind of pay at the end of the month? And George called your states there too, Akwa Ibom, Calabar, all these places can't afford it. What do you say?
Okay, for me, I think I'm really concerned about the standard of living and the value of naira, because I think raising the minimum wage will continue to devalue the naira. I think so, because what they are aiming for, that amount, if they're aiming for 250, of course is going to be very expensive. Like you said, people will be laid off from work. So I'm just thinking that Nigeria will not get to a point where we have to be buying bread for 3,000, just one loaf of bread for 3,000 because of the increase in minimum wage. So I think the government should, the labor should really be protesting for how naira should be valuable and not the increase rate, a good standard of living where everything is stable, and we can at least, like I said, someone can live on 1,000 naira for a week, and it's just something. It's not really about how high it is, but I think also the money that the labor are fighting for is not reasonable. Like all states cannot afford, like I just said, all states cannot afford that. Yes, Akwa Ibom, my state, I'm not sure that, yes, my state cannot really afford that, but I know they can because we're an oil producing state. And we do not have government parastatals there. We have private parastatals, and how are these people going to pay their private workers? And it's impossible. it's very, very impossible. Right?
So you're also coming in line with Fiona on the fact that a lot of things need to be checked. Fiona said that Akwa Ibom doesn't have much government facilities. So how do you pay people on that amount? And also one thing I know is some of these states with little fund you can survive. I was in Zaria back in the days, and sometimes you can, even though it was then many years ago, but you can compare the standard of living in Akwa Ibom or Calabar or Benue or Kaduna with Lagos, you know. So I don't know. They need to check all of this. George, go ahead, George. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that some of these states in Nigeria, one of the factors that they're considering when they are looking at these the increase or remaining the same to what government is saying is because of the debts. Many of them have international debt, they have foreign debts, they have local debts, and they are servicing those debts. And these debts might be debts that they inherited from the former governors. So what is happening right now is that if you were to increase the minimum wage in some of these other places, they will not be able to service their debts, because for them to stay positive, they have to be servicing those debts. And many of the time they're not even paying it off; they're just servicing the debts because of how big it is.
So a governor will be around all just servicing debt. You see
yes,
all kind of crazy things. Fiona, you still want to say something?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that I think, just speaking to what Nema said and what we've discussed on the show before, is that if we can, the core things that people really need, the fuel, the food, etc. If we can find a way, the electricity, the power. If we can find a way to have those, I know we've talked about subsidies, etc. But if we can find a way to keep those at a workable level, then we shouldn't have to have this wage bill that's going to be completely through the roof. And if we're able, so that we can meet somewhere in the middle. So if those prices can come down and the minimum wage can go to this 75,000, then everybody should be able to find a happy medium. But I don't think it's something that can happen just overnight. I think it requires titration, like a chemical equation.
Yes, it does, Fiona. It does.
So,
Raji, you're back. Yes, come in.
Yes, please. Go ahead. Yeah, you see, the current minimum wage is 30,000. There's no way that the next minimum wage will be more than 100% of that. So let us put our mind there. Now, what I've been saying, I've been suggested so many times is that, look, what the people spend their money on is actually the cost of transportation, of fuel. Okay. If the fuel prices could come to 400 naira, people will be very, very happy. 400 naira. If the tariffs, the electricity tariffs have not gone so high for everybody. But I'm sure that the government is stealthily moving up, sliding the tariffs higher and higher. But let us agree that it should go to maybe 120 naira per kilowatt hour from the 66 naira per kilowatt hour it is now. People will be very, very willing. Nigerians are so willing to go with what the government says. Then let us look at the exchange rate. If the exchange rate is up, is affecting everything online, then let us look at, the things we're importing. Now, every week, the customs tariffs is based on the existing exchange rate. But most of these things were probably imported in or bought when the exchange rate was below 1,000 naira. So why shouldn't the government reduce its custom excise duties, which is based on current exchange rate, to say 800 naira per dollar for custom services? All those things are things that the government can do for the people instead of getting, and then the government itself should be prudent in the expenditure. If you are putting 15 trillion on a road where the total traffic in the whole country The total number of vehicles in the whole country is probably less than 2 million.
Okay.
You see, so all those things, and then the nurse, the greedy nurse, and all those things need to come down. But I don't see the minimum wage going beyond 60, 65, beyond the cost of the largest size of needle milk.
Thank you very much, Raji. George, confirming what George said, because what George said was very, very it's noted, and that's what the news were also saying, that these governors, these states all use this money to pay debt. But they say Kano, George, I think Kano is exempted. Say Kano's debt is not much, so Kano can pay that minimum wage of what the NLC is saying. Okay, guys, well, our eyes on this. Raji, put your eye. Fiona said, Labour Congress, they are not taking the 62,000 naira. So maybe the strike continues. Maybe. Yama, you think the strike will continue?
It might, because they're really bent on it. It might.
Yes.
I think they're doing, they're basically using it as a benchmark for negotiation. So because they know they can never get that. They know that. Unless they are just being unreasonable, drunk with ogogoro, which is not vodka.
It's better than vodka.
More Nigerian story. Not this one, not too pleasant. The attacks on people still continues by Boko Haram. Gruesome killings. They go to a village, behead young men, put them, if you see, we're not going to put the pictures out here now because they are too gruesome to be shown. But guys, let's talk about this. We during the election season, there was a small calm. I don't know who did that to them. Somebody went to them and said, listen, you guys need to stop whatever you're doing. Let's do our election first. Now they've come back and they've come harder. George, did you see what happened in Niger? Did you see what happened in Niger? Niger, we have, I think, Jigawa and some other states. Go ahead, George.
A lot of people died. They came into where they were having inside the mosque. Yes. And started bombing and destroying things. This is really, it's come to the point whereby Nigeria ought to consider itself, that we have war, just like what's happening with Ukraine and with Russia. We have an internal war going on. But the point, to be very frank with you, I think we are playing games.
We're playing games.
We're playing games, whether we like it or not. You cannot have the size of the military that we have in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And you are telling me with the new technology of drones and everything, that the government cannot put their military together to come after these people and annihilate them. That's a game.
That's a game.
That is a game, whether we like it or not. The point about it is that some of these people are working with some authorities, whether we like it or not. You remember how this Boko Haram was formed in the first place? If you listen to intelligence in those days, it was all formed to make the Jonathan's administration ungovernable. And they said they didn't care.
It actually started with previous governments.
Listen. You didn't hear much about Boko Haram during Yaradua. You did not hear it during Yaradua. You did not.
No. The history of Boko Haram was during Yaradua.
No, it went back. They were more dormant than what they were during Jonathan era. And then they have been grounded so much now. Now, let me tell you something. See, these people that are negotiating with them, we need to look into them. Because number one, when they are captured, what happens to them? Why is it that when they are captured, all of a sudden, you put them in prison, they through the back door, release them. And then they build a camp for them and say, these are rehabilitated ones, and give them virgins to marry. Come on. Who is fooling who? What are you guys doing? If they want to annihilate Boko Haram, Nigerian forces are able to do that. And what they need to do is to silence the Fulani oligarchy first and foremost, silence them completely, get them out of the way, and make sure that there is no interference in what the military wants to do, they will annihilate these people. Okay. Just like that.
Let's hear from every other people. Fiona, how do you feel these guys coming stronger than before? Gruesome killing, murder people, young innocent villagers, they go in, cut their neck off. How do you feel?
Everything that Sir George said. That's how I feel. I think that there's an institution behind what's going on. It's not just people that don't know anything that are going out and doing this. There are people funding it. There are people behind it. There are people that are trying to make everything unstable. And these are not small. These are people that have the money. They have the money. They absolutely. So it's not just some cattle rearer that's doing it. So it's an organized thing. I don't think it's just something that's happening by accident. I think there's a structure, a serious structure that's behind it. That's what I think.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's wonder. Let's just take a mind back. Why America the great America has not been able to stop wars in all the countries they say they are fighting. They keep fighting wars in Africa, but they don't stop. Why? Because there is money in war. So I think maybe Nigerians, the people that are sponsoring this, have found out that there is money in war. So they keep encouraging. Of course, like F.N.A said, it's an institution. I wonder how Gomi, like that man Gomi or whatever, has been able to negotiate with terrorists. He has gone there several times. He has given them a bag of rice. He has offered them money, and they cannot capture these people. How is that possible? In Nigeria, we have young people that can make drones, that can make computers. Like I'm imagining when during the NSAS protest, you can see what young people were able to do. How they flew drones just to capture something, and they were still denying it, even in that. So I know that Nigeria is capable of doing this, but like we've already said, there is an institution, and there are people in the government that are sponsoring these people that we all know. It's obvious. Like they're not blind. We can all see that it's very obvious. It's very obvious.
Can I say something? What is the name of that? What is the name of that mercenary group in Russia? What do you call them again?
Wagner.
Boko Haram is a Wagner. Yes.
Raji, tell us, Raji. Wagner goes for official duties, and they get paid.
Believe me, they will start sending Boko Haram on official duties. They are in the Niger Republic. They're all over. They're all over.
It's a very serious matter, as George and Lady Fiona and Nyama said. You know, in the early stages, we used to hear reports that the villagers will hear planes coming to the camps and dropping food for the terrorists. You see, so it is organized. It is organized. And it seems to me that the Nigerian army is only effective when they are dealing with Ukwama or Odi, where they are sure that there won't be any resistance. That's when they now show that they are really, really powerful. It's unfortunate. Much more of our soldiers have been killed by Boko Haram than by the villages in Ukwama, where they went to devastate the whole village. Meanwhile, Boko Haram has attacked military barracks. Boko Haram has infiltrated into the Kaduna military school in Kaduna and have killed military officers. And what are you doing? Look, what are we doing? We are just playing very, very wicked games with our lives.
It's a wicked game. Boko Haram is nothing but IMG. It's called that's the IMG. The secret name is IMG. And that's what you call, huh?
Which is what?
IMG.
Yeah, internal mercenary group. That's what they are.
Okay.
That's what they are.
That's what they are.
Okay.
So they are. Okay. So you can.
Huh? Like who are the new soldiers? I don't know those ones that they said that have been rehabilitated.
Listen to this. Most of these people in most of the mercenaries in Boko Haram, they have brothers in the military.
Definitely.
They have brothers in the military. So what you're seeing is, and some of them, they love that kind of nomadic lifestyle. Yeah. So living in the bushes is not a problem for them. they enjoy it better. So that thing is a beautiful thing for them. So as long as you give them food and drink and give them women, virgins, that's all, they're okay. And if you refuse to supply the women, they will come and capture and use it to get some money and keep some back for their own nourishment.
Thank you, George. George is taking it beyond. Now, let's take one more Nigerian story. Then I'll do a small update on what's happening in Europe. For the past 1 week now, we've been voting. We've been doing a lot of politicking here in the west of Europe. No, Europe generally, all parts of Europe. So, but before then, let's talk about something that happened today in the House. The House of Representatives in Nigeria, Federal House of Representatives, group of lawmakers came this morning and proposed some amendments to our constitution. They said, listen to the amendment. Number one is, let's create 2 vice presidents. 2. One from the South region, one from the Northern region. That's one of the amendments. The other one is the presidency stays for 6 years, and that's all. Not 2 terms, 8 years, none of that. 6, bam, you're out. So then some other things they added. Now let's talk about it, guys. What do you think does it sound good? Does it sound good? 6 years and two vice president. Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, so is that supposed to be something that's supposed to come in during this current dispensation? Is that where we're going with this conversation? Because, I mean, I think to try and amend the term from 4 to 6 years in the middle of a term will be rather unfair, and I don't think that's something that we need to go for. I mean, I understand that thing about just having one term, but I think that I don't know, with governance, sometimes you do need a longer stretch. I'm not saying that any Nigerian president has shown me that they needed 2 terms or they've done any better in their second term. I think usually with what I've seen with Nigerian government is that by the time they've had the first term and they get the second term, they don't even care. They're just there for the sake of it and just trying to do whatever they have to do. So, I mean, for me, I just don't think, I hear what they're saying, but if they're going to do that, I hope this is not a way, if they're going to introduce it now, to me, I just think it's a way for people to compensate certain people and put them in place they want to. That's what I think. I don't.
Yema, what do you think? 2 vice presidents.
I would have loved to know their motive behind this. What's their motive? What are they intending to gain from it?
Yeah.
Like, what are their motive? I've not heard that part. So if I hear that part, I really know, okay, if this is better or not. Because I like F.N.A said, in the middle of a term, like there's a running president. I don't think it's right for them to do the amendments. And there's so many things that are bothering the country. And if they started with the national anthem, now this is this one. I don't think this is just
crazy.
Now.
Okay, the group is being led by a young man that's very active in a lot of political issues in Nigeria. It's called Ikenga Ugochinyere. Ikenga Ugochinyere is that young man from the Imo State, Ideato, that went face head with the governor. George, what do you say? 2 state governors.
Okay, you see. 6 years and 2 state governors. See, part of the reason what they don't understand is this. Part of the reason why they wanted, if you think about it, there's things that they have not even considered. Because at the death of any president, the vice automatically becomes, the next one, the next president. With what happened with Jonathan and Yaradua. But in our own case right now, if they were to do that, what is it that is missing now with the current one vice president from alternative state or a region, for instance? So usually for them to compensate, another president who is running for president will choose somebody from the south and vice versa, in order to to balance it out. But if they were to now have two vice presidents, that means that they're going to spend trillions of dollars naira again to build another house for the one from the south, right? And then or whatever. So this is what you're seeing. It is unnecessary, it's stupid, it doesn't make any sense. Because if what happens with that is whoever the other vice president is, for instance, as it is right now, Asiwaju is our president from the south. If you were to have another vice president from the south, that means if anything happens to Asiwaju, the vice president from the south will have to take over to complete the number of years. right? Because that's the bone of contention. The bone of contention usually is when the president dies, the people from that area wants to continue, but it's not usually the same. So this will not give room for that. But what I'm saying, the vice presidency functions are not even much when you think about it. You know, they're just basically, you know, a ceremonial type of head that is going about doing things. They don't do much of anything. So create another office is just another way of siphoning people's money, destroying people in this economy. So let it be like it is. About 6 years, I think 4 is okay. If you ask me, if it's not spoiled, why are you trying to fix it?
Yeah. So
if we need changes to go into parliamentary system, if we need any change, then we can go from executive presidency to parliamentary system, like what we have in Canada here. That's it.
So Raji,
I don't believe that whatever they are proposing is effective immediately. I don't. Yes, because it has to go through a lot of process. You can't just change the constitution. Changing the national anthem was not a constitutional matter. To change the constitution now, every state house of assembly has to agree to it. So they are just throwing balls in the air. So
I think it's not relevant.
Yes, George, but you're talking, George, is your man, Ikenga is your man, remember?
I love the guy, but you know, just because I love him doesn't mean if he's making a mistake that I won't say it is my man. I like the man. You know, he's a strong man, but let him go back. Maybe changing the constitution. Let's change 1999 constitution.
Yes,
regions, because
you know, there are so many
states are given, you know, given autonomy. You know, so that you see what is happening. Part of the lack of growth we have in Nigeria right now is simply because of this oil. If you allow the states to begin to now harness and find a way to raise revenue in from their state, you will see a difference. So because free money is being given to them from the federal government, nobody is wanting to. If it's enough for us, why are we going to raise additional revenue? That's part of the reason why states are so stagnant and dormant right now.
But
so now, Sir Mark.
Yes.
Just one point. You know, there's an argument now going on, and Tinubu is acting wiser by half by insisting that local government autonomy. You can't go to local government autonomy without first restructuring the constitution. You have first restructuring the federation, because there is no constitution in the world where the central government determines the number of local governments that each state should have, and enshrine it in the constitution and make it as a basis for federal allocation. So we have to untangle a lot of things before we can come to local government autonomy.
Untangle a lot of things before we can come down.
He is very correct.
Yes. Viewers, you're tuned into Between the Lines Monday, and I'm here with my colleagues. Gentlemen, let me do this small update on what has been happening in Europe. Please allow me a few minutes, and we'll be through. It's called the EU. The European headquarters. It's in Brussels, Belgium. And what they do is, after 4 years, like you all know, each country brings representative to that Belgium. Now, Brussels is where policies are made for all of the EU countries, 32 of them. So everything that happens in each of these countries starts from Belgium. Now, if you're a prime minister of a country and you don't have good representation in Belgium, your government might fall. So what we now saw was on Saturday, there was that general election, and a lot of party that we know, popular party from France, Spain, Italy, Germany, most of those parties had lesser representatives. They lost in the election. So France, for example, is calling for an election because he can't stand. He has to find coalition with other people. So he's calling for a quick election. Apart from that, this morning, the euro fell at the stock markets. because of all that happened on Saturday. So these things affect the world, and here in Europeans have big part of things that affect the world. So we had all of that, and a lot of winners, a lot of losers in Brussels and across Europe. Some of the parties we thought will win lost. Some of the parties we thought will lose won. In Italy, yes, the prime minister or the young lady, her party won. Got more seats. Yes, she got more seats. So they are having big party now, big celebration out there somewhere. In Austria and Germany, they did bad. Their parties did very bad. So the German prime minister now, I think, should also call for election if it's sensible, because his party didn't do well. Yes, if he's
he said no. He said he's not going to.
I said no. Okay. So anyway, this is the small snippet to what happened. Also, it affected UK, Fiona. It affected UK somehow, and but Richard Sunak is still standing strong, even after having more. He had attack also on him not being physically around on the D-Day.
Well, he was around.
He left. He was around for a few minutes, and he left early. Yes. So anyway, this is it, guys. I don't know if you have anything to say, George.
So what we're seeing is there's a shift in the system of governance, and a shift in what you call what is appealing to the people, because many countries did not. Many countries that were fighting for the green, climate change, they made them to lose a lot. So these, aggressive far-right individuals have captured the minds of the people. And that is the reason why the government is shifting right now. And it tells you a whole lot. It tells you a lot of what the mindset that we are having. Sometimes some of these special group of people will come out and just back everybody against the wall. But when they continue to go with it and become tangent with it, there's going to be a shift in the way people think and their belief system. And we're just seeing that right now in Europe.
Wow, George, Union. Like you're here again with us. You sounded like you were there yesterday in Brussels. Good one, George. Yes. Raji, you're not saying anything. This is your turf. No. Come on, tell us.
No. I'm happy what happened to Macron, because he's been jumping around too much, and he needs to go and sit down. I'm happy I'd be happy if he lost. Yes.
Raji, if you were Macron, would you not be jumping around when all your bread, your butter from all your stolen bread and butter on the table has been taken back? We got be running around too.
Raji has pulled the plug like Godwin did last time. Raji has pulled the plug, guys. We have to go. We have to go, guys.
That's right.
Thank you all for coming. Beautiful.
Yeah, have a good evening.
George, thank you for taking your time to be with us.
Thank you.
Canada.
Thank you.
Fiona, all the way from London, thank you for being here. And Yema, the one that brought that news of what they were doing to the international students. Thank you. For
by the way, final thoughts, Massive Mac. Yes. I wanted to say something at the end, before we left. But the point I'm trying to make is this. There is absolutely no way we will know the truth, because number one, Godwin canceled what was said, that it's a news that contradicts itself. Yes. But then he turns around and starts telling us also that it is not true. So it was almost like he agreed that it is true, but there is a purpose for them doing it, and then turns around and said that it is not true anymore. So what can we say? I don't know what we could have done.
He's not here to defend himself, Sir Joe. He's not here to defend himself.
That's it. All right, guys. We'll come again on Wednesday. Have a beautiful day. Yama, you're saying something?
Hello.
SSM News Echoes Between the Lines is a lively conversation program on news updates every Monday at 8 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, and 9 p.m. Central European time, giving real-time updates as they